This week, South Africa has taken the bold step, which is forward in the fight against HIV, becoming one of the first countries in the world to approve the twice-yearly anti-HIV injection, lenacapavir. In just 60 days, the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority gave the green light to a breakthrough that could transform HIV prevention, particularly for young women and vulnerable communities. To help us unpack what this means for science, access, and the future of public health, we're joined by Dr. Yashna Singh from the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. What exactly is lenacapavir?
Thank you. So lenacapavir is a novel HIV capsid inhibitor drug that acts in various different ways to inhibit HIV entry and replication inside the host cell. So it has been already approved in the USA and in Europe for treatment of highly treatment-experienced individuals who are living with HIV. But as you've mentioned, South Africa is the first African country to have lenacapavir approved as an HIV prevention method, which is all very exciting.
Yeah. Where in the world has it been rolled out? If, of course, there would have had to be a pilot of sorts to test the data and, of course, to test the safety around it and the efficacy around it. What has the data shown us thus far?
So the Purpose 1 and Purpose 2 trials were conducted. Purpose 1 was conducted in Uganda and South Africa, and Purpose 2 is being done globally. And the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation have conducted both of these trials. And what we have found is that in adolescent girls and young women, lenacapavir was 100% effective in preventing HIV compared with the daily Truvada oral pill. And in men who have sex with men, trans and gender diverse individuals, it was 96% effective in preventing HIV.
Does that mean that this in time will replace pre-exposure prophylaxis?
I don't think we can speak to whether it will replace the oral pill, but the important thing to recognize is that this injection gives us more choice. It gives PrEP users more choice, and that is a very important thing when we consider how sustained oral prevention.
Yashna, I can hear you. Go for it. Yashna?
Sorry, I couldn't. Yes, so...
Can you hear me, Yashna?
Sorry, I'm having some...
Yashna, we can hear you loud and clear. You just keep speaking.
Okay, sorry. Yes, so as I was saying, it's important to have more access, more options with prevention, more prevention options, and lenacapavir is something that fits into people's lives rather than making them reorganize their lives around prevention. So,
yeah. And let's talk about the rollout of this. It's twice a year that you would have to get this injection. What is the cost around the production of it? And will it, like ARVs or pre-exposure prophylaxis, be available in public health facilities at little cost or almost no cost to particularly those who are most vulnerable to contracting HIV?
So the rollout is planned to be phased over the next 2 years. And in terms of cost, we know that the Global Fund has purchased from Gilead, the manufacturer of lenacapavir, directly at an undisclosed amount. And the National Department of Health has already a draft a working document to describe how the rollout will take place. As far as we know, it will be rolled out across South Africa in 60 different health districts. And thereafter, in 2027, there are generic licensing, voluntary licensing agreements that have been given to certain generic pharmaceutical companies. At the moment, there aren't any in South Africa as yet. Yeah.
Does lenacapavir function like a vaccine?
Not quite. So lenacapavir is an ARV, so it blocks the entry of HIV into the host cell to prevent it from replicating.
Yeah. What does the pharmacological data tell us about side effects? Some users of PrEP had reported that they had side effects like nausea for a couple of days when they had first started using pre-exposure prophylaxis, the odd headache here, dry mouth here and there, but then it goes away after a week or so, and they don't feel anything after that. Are there any reported side effects, adverse or not, that have been reported in the pharmacological data around the use of lenacapavir?
So primarily side effects were, as you mentioned, nausea and as well as headaches, but they do disappear within 2 to 4 weeks. The most important side effects that our participants on the trials complained of were the injection site reactions, so lumps, redness, swellings, little bumps or nodules where the injections were given. But these generally resolved before the next injection was given.
Yeah, and of course there must be an incentive that users will have to think about when using this against the backdrop of the side effects. Let's talk about its efficacy. Is it effective immediately, or does it become effective after a while? And how long into the intravenous injection does the efficacy start to dissipate?
Mm-hmm. So it's actually a subcutaneous injection. So it's given by 2 injections into a syringe. The syringe contains 1.5 mils of the drug, and it's given into the fatty tissue into the abdomen. And on the first time someone starts taking it, they have to take 2 lenacapavir pills as well at the same time of the injection, and then 2 pills the very next day. And by day 3, that person is completely protected by lenacapavir. So starts working by day 3, and the drug remains in the system and slowly elutes from that injection site over the next 26 weeks. And by that time, the person is due for the next injection, so 26 weeks or 6 months.
So by the time they have the second injection and the subsequent injections for however long they make use of it, would they still need to continue to take the 3-day pill cycle to ensure efficacy?
No, so the 3 pills, the 2 pills that are taken on day 1 and day 2, along with the injection, is only when someone is starting lenacapavir for the first time or reinitiating on it. So if someone misses an injection out of their window by 2 weeks, so if they're out of window by 2 weeks, then you'd have to restart the whole, what we call the loading regimen as well, again.
Yeah, let's talk about community health and what the effect of this could be. I mean, when you know HIV was ravaging communities in the mid-2000s, there were campaigns that went around talking about an HIV-free generation and that we would be able to achieve it within our lifetime. At the time, there were no real preventative pharmacological instruments available. At best, you just had the condom, and abstinence was it. Now there's a lot of options on the market and a variety of options. Is this injection promising enough? Is lenacapavir promising enough to be able to create an HIV generation, HIV-free generation within our lifetime?
I definitely think so. I think that, firstly, it's been incredible to witness the approval of lenacapavir so quickly. And we've reached a point now in HIV prevention where, like, scientifically, we have the tools to end new HIV infections. What we need now is equity and access to these innovative drugs so that innovation isn't seen as something that's a privilege. I think the messaging around lenacapavir injections, and especially the messaging around choice and how important that is, that, one of the most striking findings from our trial participants was how empowered they felt with the idea of a twice-yearly injection. It means that it takes away the daily burden of adherence to pills. It takes away the fact that people have to go to the clinic so often. And I think this is, when you talk about communities, I think this is really important when we think about adolescent girls and young women, trans and gender diverse individuals, men who have sex with men. Sex workers are key populations who, really do face a bunch of barriers when it comes to accessing healthcare and a lot of stigma. So this, lenacapavir has the power to give people the power back, to give them control, privacy, and choice, which is critical for sustained prevention methods.
While it is preventative for HIV in particular, I don't assume it's preventative for all other STIs and STDs.
Indeed, it's not. So people will still have to use condoms to prevent sexually transmitted infections, as well as reliable family planning methods to avoid unwanted pregnancy. But on that note, with lenacapavir, which the purpose studies did give women the choice to continue using lenacapavir if they became pregnant on the study, and we have found with the data shows that in adults, adolescents, and in pregnant people, the drug levels, pharmacological levels are very consistent across the population. So it is safe to use in pregnancy as well.
Yeah, that's very promising that it's safe to use during pregnancy as well. A lot of women and children become quite vulnerable to this. But more importantly, given that it's not preventative of STIs and STDs, and that condom use is still encouraged even if you are using and on lenacapavir, do we know if the data shows and if there are any studies that track the sexual behavior of those who are on lenacapavir and whether or not they are more likely and more prone to engage in risky sexual behaviors?
So people have asked this question before, whether, if there are more prevention options out there, is that going to encourage people to have to engage in more risky behavior? But I don't think that is the question that we should be asking. I think the fact is that people are going to be having sex, and people often vulnerable populations don't have the control that they need to make the decisions in their sexual lifestyles. So the importance is that we need to empower, and people need to empower themselves with choice and with different options, especially with a discrete option like a 6-monthly injection.
Yeah. Dr. Yashna Singh, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your insights. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Yashna Singh is with the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. We're going to take a break. We continue with the week ahead on the other side of this.